Okay, everyone, we'll go ahead and get underway. We are joined by Associate Head Coach and Defensive Coordinator Doug Belk. Coach, thanks as always for your time. We can go ahead and open it up for questions here, and we'll lead it off with Joseph Duarte.
Hey, Doug.
What's up, JD? How you doing?
Good, thanks. Just wanted to check how did the bye week go for your guys on the defensive end? Sort of chance to rest, maybe recalibrate, so to speak.
Yeah, a lot of it for us was, just getting some fundamental time and cleaning some things up that we needed to work on, and ultimately, a lot of guys is getting healthy so we can make a run right here, so they can get back ready, to help us as we continue to get ready for our next opponent.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll keep it open here. Just ask media to use the raise your hand tool, and we'll get things passed along your direction.
Doug, as a follow-up, you've had, Dana was telling us yesterday that, I guess with Alex out, you got guys like Latif, Justice, even Chase could play there if you need. But what's that position look like moving forward, and how you address, not having Alex for the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's just, something else that we have to deal with, next man up. And, we recruited those guys to come here and be productive and help our team win football games. None of the guys have as much experience on the perimeter. Latif is the one guy that stepped in and done a really good job. Really proud of what he's been able to do with limited action, early in the season. But, from Tulane and, the last couple of games, he stepped in and played a major role in what we were able to do. Came in when Alex got hurt. Alex didn't return, at the end of the second quarter, and played the rest of the Memphis game. Did a really good job for us, just doing what he's supposed to do. I think he's gaining trust with his teammates, so he's going to have to step up and increase his role. Jalen Emery, and then Justice, who's been banged up, and that we think highly of, and he's going to be a really good player here. Has length, has size, has some things that brings to the table that we haven't really had outside of Art and some of these other young guys. So we'll get those guys going, and they got to step their game up and invest in what we're trying to get done. I think they'll help us be able to be productive and help the team win games. Outside of that, Jace has played a little bit of everywhere for us, but his role is pretty significant in what we ask, him to do. Playing 3 or 4 different positions in the secondary, much like we did with, Pepe and Marcus in the past. And then you look at Art. He missed almost 2 games right there. He got back in the fold last week, hasn't knocked the rust off, and play a little bit better and do some things. But, he's played really well this season. And he has to be the guy that kind of leads that corner group as we move forward. Safeties, I think we're in a pretty good spot with G. Owens getting back healthy and a couple other guys dinged up, but they should be back in the lineup as well. But, Alex has been very productive here for us, and he was actually playing his best football. Started off a little slow, but had just heated up. So, continue to coach him and get him better and get him back ready to go for the spring and for next season. And, still coach him, and he's been around. He's been very supportive. He just needs us to coach him, but in a different way right now. So, we got a lot of long-term injury guys, starting with Parrish and Malik and Alex and a couple more guys that have just been out of the lineup that we hope to get back. So we just got to love them up and keep them engaged and let those guys be coaches and good teammates as well.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Doug. How you doing?
Doing well.
Cool. Dana Holgorsen has talked about how big it's been for the offense, just what they were able to do late against Memphis. And I was wondering if you've seen something similar on the defensive side of things, especially on, obviously, you guys were able to seal that game against Memphis with that sack that basically didn't give them any chance to attempt to drive up. What have you seen just in terms of momentum coming off that win against Memphis and heading into the bye for the defense?
Yeah, it was, the game wasn't pretty at times. And, I thought we did a good job of, stopping those guys when they were in the red zone. The difference in the game for us defensively, I think they were 1 of 6 in the red area. They scored in the first drive when they had the ball in the red area. Outside of that, everything else was field goals when they got into the red area. And so, holding those guys to field goals and not giving up touchdowns in critical moments of the game was really the difference. Would we like have to eliminate those as well? Obviously, yes. But, that's been an emphasis from our head coach that we talk about often in situational football, especially, red area score zone, 2-minute offense and defense and playing complementary football. And, at the end of the game, finding a way to get that done was important for our team as we move forward. And, one of the best feelings that we've been able to have all year, obviously, but our offense, taking the ball down in crucial situations, making some big plays. And, I really look at Tune's 4th down scramble that got the whole thing started after Jace's, kick return. So those things working together as a team, it shows some life there at the end. And I think it'll give us some confidence moving forward. And that's really what it's all about, what you're getting. And we've been emphasizing those points and obviously defense, being able to close the game out on a 2-minute drive after our offense just made a couple of really good drives and was able to go down and score. And obviously you look at the onside kick and then us being able to close the game out. And that's really what it's all about. And it's a time for us to come together. I think we did that. So hopefully we can continue to build on that. And then Bell's sack right there at the end of the game was huge. And that was a play of the game for us, obviously, because we've been focusing on those situations. But secondly, game winning play for a guy who, has been very productive here, has some highs and lows this year as far as, off the field and then injuries and then getting him back in the fold. And hopefully he can continue to help us down the stretch.
Thanks, Andy. We'll send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Doug, piggybacking off of that, there were a couple of those drives, I believe they got, inside the 10 and were close. Did you feel like when your guys came off the field after stopping them and forced field goal, can you feel that sort of change, maybe that vibe that, maybe things are coming together, these big moments that they need to rise to the occasion, that the guys are starting to sort of feel that?
Yeah, I think, a big thing for us is we want to eliminate, explosive plays, and we gave up the reverse pass right there. And, our guys never panicked. And, a positive thing for us is, I have guys like Javarius Owens and Donovan Mutin were on the sideline, and it was all positive, and they don't get in the end zone, whatever we got to do. And, the morale from the team was no panic from the coaches, no panic from our players. The sign of the good players know, they kind of are able to coach themselves once they make mistakes. And we knew the things that we could correct to get better in that game. But ultimately, stopping people in that part of the field is a mindset. And we have a philosophy that we want to stick to, and we were aggressive with the play calling down there. But our guys just really did a really good job, and our leaders stepped up in those moments. And for us, it was really good because a lot of these critical moments, some of the best leaders that we have, like Javarius and Donovan Mutin and, Malik, Derek Parrish, and all these other guys, they haven't been in the lineup, so a lot of those situations, we were able to lean on some of the guys that have experience and some of the guys that we expect to be good players and make plays, and they were able to do that. But the positivity on the sideline, the trust that they have in each other, those guys never quit playing is really attributes to our players, and they deserve all the credit for what we were able to get done. And it was pretty fun to watch. And it takes a lot of the coaching out of it when you have guys who have the will to win and who want to fight to the end. And I think we proved that on offense and defense, but most of all, just the energy on the sideline. And once we got in those situations, you were able to see some of those guys step up in those moments. So I think we can build on that. But most of all, I think it comes down to, whoever's in the game, they have to have the trust of their teammates, because that's what really means the most, the respect of your peers, to go out there in those critical moments to make those plays. And we were able to do that at the end of that game.
You probably don't want these games to come down to final drive, final play, but as Elias proven that he's probably going to be a guy to be on there on the final play, considering what he's done against Rice and Memphis getting pressure.
Yeah, Bell's a really good player. He was able to be, I think single-handedly last year helped us win a couple games. If you watch the way that we played, he backed up Logan Hall. He's been a team player. He started off slow, been a little banged up, has some other issues that he had to overcome. I just got a ton of respect for the guy, because he's been able to do some things for us, and we've been able to play him in multiple positions, with Derek Parrish being out. We played him at defensive end. We played him at 3 technique. We've sub-rushed him inside at nose guard. So he's been able to handle, from a maturity standpoint, playing 2 or 3 different positions on a weekly basis when he is in the lineup. And so, that takes some selflessness and being a great team player to be able to change your role to help us win football games. So it was very rewarding for us. And obviously we have a great trust in him, myself, Coach Early, Coach Holgerson, for him to be in the game in those critical moments, no matter how many snaps that he's played, because he's proven that he has game-changing ability. and he kept fighting, he kept working, and he got an opportunity at the end to change the game, and he did that.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll keep things open here and continue along with Andy Yanez.
Doug, I'm just curious in terms of the bye week. I'm curious how do you approach that week off? Is there something you like to do at the bye week? What's kind of your approach to that break week?
Yeah, for me, my message to the guys was, this is a bye week for a chance for us to get better and a chance for us to improve on a lot of things, whether it was health for some guys, for these young corners and some of these young D linemen that are going to be forced to play. It was a chance for us to work technique, fundamental football with those guys. So bye week, not an off week. What can we get better at? What things can we focus on? And obviously our opponent has something to do with that. So, getting a little jump start on Navy. But most of all, we really focused on what we needed to do to get better. And for each guy, it was a little bit different. And we had some meetings with some guys and talked to them about what we needed from them. And then the messaging from our head coach and then myself, what we did defensively, was just focusing on, the fundamental things that we can get better. And I think some of it is situational football, things that we needed to get better in the game and continue to prove in critical situations, 3rd down, 2-minute, red area goal line. So we've done well in different phases of the game, in different games, but we got to continue to put those things together and play complete games as a team. And that's kind of was the focus. And it was just more, to me, all these different things that we keep talking about is mostly mindset and understanding those situations as much as it is playing in those situations, with a sense of urgency to do what we need to do to be successful.
Send it over to Joseph Duarte.
Doug, the interior guys don't necessarily on the line get a lot of rack up stats or attention and stuff. But I was wondering with Dot, what have your impressions been sort of his season and how he's manned that middle of the line?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because, man, he does an awesome job. And I think a lot of times he gets overlooked because of some of the things that he has to do. But if you really turn on the tape and watch the tape, Dot, Jermichael Neal, sometimes even our 3 techniques, they get a lot of double and triple teams, primarily Dot and Jermichael. And Dot is part of the reason that some of our defensive ends and 3 techniques have success because he's often taken on 2 blocks. He probably has the dirtiest, hardest job on our defense, but he embraces that and he's able to dominate the guy in front of him almost every play. And so being a great teammate, being selfless in what he does, and still able to be productive and help our team win football games. Really proud of him. He's grown in a lot of areas. Continue to push him to continue to develop his game and keep playing, but there's no question about his physicality or his determination to be a great player and the way he approaches the game. From a physical standpoint, you can look back from him walking in the door as a true freshman, being able to start at this level was impressive enough. But, even against Cincinnati, against Auburn, no matter who we play, he's one of the most dominant guys on the field. And sometimes the stats don't show that. But if you turn on the tape, you have to account for him and the power and the effort and the consistency that he plays with is really good for our team. And then you look at J. Mike, who comes in to spell him and has played a lot of football and started some games for us as well, is very similar in his role as well.
Continue along with Andy Yanez.
Yeah, Doug, can you talk a little bit about Navy and how difficult or how it is just in general to prepare for what they do on offense? They run that unique type of offense.
Yeah, just when you look at them statistically, number 1 in time of possession, they're going to possess the ball. They're going to go for it on 4th down. They believe in their scheme. They believe in their players, have smart physical players. What's the really interesting thing is they're number 3 in the country in yards per completion. So a lot of explosive plays in the back end. It tests your eyes as far as the discipline that you have to play with consistently with quarterback dive pitch, and then you add the shifts, the motions, and the play action passes onto that. It's very difficult to defend. Top 10 in rushing, and so it's going to be a task. I think the quarterback is obviously what always makes these offenses go, and I think their quarterback is really good, different than guys they've had in the past. He's 6'2". I think he's somewhere around 225. Has a lot of arm talent. Throws the ball really good. Does a lot of different. They do a lot of different things with him as far as not only the traditional option offense, but you see him in spread sets. They get a shotgun. So they've really expanded what they do. As far as schematics, but the toughness and the discipline and the execution is still the same. So The one place that they really have, shown to be explosive is, their slot backs. The running backs have a lot of explosive plays, 23, 24. The guys are on the perimeter getting the ball, whether it's a pitch or a toss or even in the pass game, those guys are very explosive and have top end speed and play physical, and their fullback leads their team in rushing, and he's the bruiser of the group. And so that's really the task at hand for us. And up front, they play a lot of different guys. They got a couple returning starters, but they're all kind of the same. They're quick, they're physical, they're athletic, and they're tough. And so that's the task for us this week.
Pass it back to Joseph Duarte and then keep it open for one or two more after that.
Doug, for a team like yours that's beat up or at least trying to get healthy, do you tell your guys anything in terms of? I mean, they're known for their their blocks and their low blocking at times, the way it's designed to kind of I don't know if it's can they stay out of those situations or be mindful of those situations when it comes from how you defend it.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something that you have to prepare for in practice. We don't talk about it a ton. I don't want to cloud their mind with, worried about injuries, worried about, things that they can't control. So trying to teach those guys how to do their job and how to play those blocks and how to get off of those blocks and get to the football. And most importantly is all of those things that they do, whether it's, the way they block or the scheme or how fast it happens or the physicality. It's all about the test of your discipline. So we spent more time talking about discipline. And where your eyes are supposed to be and what you're supposed to do a lot more than we've talked about those other things, because those things can somewhat be a distraction and it's tough to defend. And you have to be aware of how you're going to be attacked. And I think our guys have a good understanding of how we're going to be attacked, and we have to do a good job, of countering that with how we play blocks and how we get to the football and how we finish plays.
This is a little bit more broader, Doug. Just now that you're kind of at the halfway point of the season, among the younger guys, maybe newcomers, guys that have gotten in, has anybody sort of jumped out at you or kind of given you some thoughts for the second half of the season, how you use them?
A lot up front. We have a lot of guys who played. When you look at our staple guys, and you start with Caesar, and obviously Derek was having an on track probably to have an All-American season, and then you look at DeAnthony Jones has really increased his role and stepped up, and he's done a really good job. And we talked about Dot. And so I think the two guys in there that have really kind of increased their roles, they've done a good job up front. Obviously, Jamari was the player of the game in the last game that we played. He's big, he's physical. I mean, when he figures it out and we get to coach him for a spring and he continues to develop, I think he has special talent, next level talent. And just with his size, the athleticism and the speed, he's the one guy that's kind of made an impact over the last couple of weeks, just with the way he's been able to play, and he's a better understanding and getting better each and every day. And then you have guys like Latrell Bankston and Sid and J. Mike who have increased their roles up front. And then I think at linebacker, when you look at it, obviously Donovan's the leader and one of our team, unanimous team captain. But with Donovan being out of the lineup, and then Malik, who was our starting wheel linebacker to start the season, who we think a lot of those two guys being out, Jamarcus Cheeks, Manny Nunnery, and Jamal, have stepped up and increased their roles. And we asking those guys to play multiple positions. Donovan's back in the lineup, but Cheeks and these other guys have gotten experience based off of, having a chance to get in there and play a little bit more. And then in the secondary, Art missed some time. So Latif and some of these other guys have gotten in there with Alex being out for the season. Really changes the perspective, and some of these guys are going to go from role players to starters. So particularly at corner, you look at Latif, you look at Jalen Emery, you look at Justice. Those are the guys that have to take the next step. But out of those young guys, Latif has done a really good job of going in some critical situations and making some plays. And then at safety, Antonio Brooks has played a lot more over the last couple of weeks, and a guy that has a lot of talent that we've been trying to get in the game a little bit more, and he's answered the call. But the staple guys that we've had back there, like Hippolyte and Owens and Jace Rogers, have kind of been consistent in what we asked those guys to do.
Keep it open if there's one more. Coach, appreciate your time and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for your time here. As always, apologies for a delay here. We have quarterback Clayton Tune joining us, and we'll go ahead and lead it off with Joseph Duarte.
Hey Clayton, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So just start off. How was the bye week? Chance to take a step back and sort of recharge yourself for the second half.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time to relax and rest the body and rest the mind. So enjoyed it for sure.
From an on-field perspective, was there maybe during the bye week? Is it a little less, or did you kind of look at things that maybe from the first half and with a plan, for the second half of the season?
Yeah, I kind of reflected and thought about things that I could have done better and things we could do better as a team, and thought about it. Watched a lot of games this weekend. Watched a lot of our conference opponents, and just took the time to rest and recharge.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez.
Hey Clayton, Dana Holgerson yesterday talked about how really that game against Memphis did a big deal to raise the confidence of Keyshawn Carter and Sam Brown. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw from them against Memphis and what you've seen from them in practice since that game?
I thought both of them stepped up and made a lot of plays that ended up winning us the game. Both of those guys answered the call when their number was called and made a lot of good catches and run after catch, and made my job easy. So I was really happy with how they played and the confidence that they played with. And then just I think that game gave them even more confidence to go into the bye week last week, and then it's just going to carry on into the rest of the season. So I'm happy with how they played for sure.
Thanks, Andy. We'll send it over to James Mueller. James?
Yeah, Clayton, you touched on just how you were able to, sit back and reflect and watch some things over the bye week. Are there things you can share that you sort of pinpointed for yourself that you really are focusing on improving so you can, play at another level at the second half of the season?
I think just as an offense, and myself is just cut it loose, just be a little more aggressive. I would say just take more shots and, not worry about having the perfect play and just kind of, letting it loose and throwing it deep. And I feel like, I'm at a point where I want to start throwing it more. And I think that's where we're moving toward as an offense, is being more pass dominant. And I think it's going to help us out. So that was the main thing for me.
Send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Clayton, I was going to ask about that. Just the ending of the Memphis game. The rhythm and stuff looked like you guys were about as comfortable as you had been maybe since the early part of the season. Is that sort of when you say kind of maybe trending that way to pass more? You feel like that's a good starting point for what you guys did late? I mean, obviously that's 2-minute drills and the late game situations, but is that maybe where this offense really flourishes sometimes when you can do some stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think when we pick up the pace, pick the tempo up, I think it is an advantage for us. I feel like we play well in that situation, and it's harder on the defense. They're not able to sub and get the different defenses called that they want to. So it's an advantage for us in that regard. And I think it's something that we're going to do more of, but that's not our identity. We don't want to be the team that, strictly does that type of, that style of offense, but we're definitely going to mix it in some more.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll continue along with Andy Yanez.
Clayton, I'm just curious from perspective. Obviously, you've been around the program for a long time. Can you just talk about heading into the bye week? You're kind of closing in on your college career. Have you kind of at the bye week? Not to get into it, but is that something you've thought about? Like these are going to be the last few games that you have to really kind of enjoy the college level, being able to build up and try to get to the season goals that you guys have had since the season started.
Yeah, no, I've thought about it. It's crazy. It's been a crazy journey, and seen and done a lot of things in my time here at U of H, and I'm very thankful for all the experiences that I've had. And but yeah, no, I've thought about it. I'm just excited for the opportunity to play this week and continue to play the rest of the season. Our goal is still ahead of us, and I realize that, and I think everyone else in the building realizes that. So more than anything, I think we're just all excited to continue to play, and for me, just make the most out of these last few months that I have here in Houston.
Continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, Clayton, yesterday when we talked to Dana, he said one of the things that stands out about Navy's defense is just their ability to disguise looks and, not tip their hand too early. Have you seen that? And can you talk about some of those challenges they present as you go up against them this Saturday?
Yeah, they definitely do that. They're very smart guys, obviously being at the Naval Academy. So they have a lot on their plate as far as a defensive standpoint and the coverages and the blitzes that they do. And like you said, they do a really good job of disguising it and, trying to confuse the offense, kind of muddy up the box and do different things to try to confuse you. So that's definitely something I've noticed on tape and something that we're preparing for.
Send it over to Joseph Duarte.
And I wanted to go back to the receivers. When you look at you've got Tank obviously and Keyshawn and Sam coming off of the games they are. Does that how much I guess does that play into sort of you need everybody at this point with Matt not playing at least this week and you're still without Joseph Manjack and you gotta find some guys. Some guys got to step up. Did that last few drives of the Memphis game sort of maybe reaffirm that those are some guys that you can go to when you need them?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said earlier, I was really proud of how those guys stepped up because it was the same situation last week. Manjack's not playing, and then Golden got hurt, early in that game, and so their number was called and they answered. So, that's what it's all about. It's just whenever your number gets called, it's the next man up, and you got to go in and play. And we got to be able to trust whoever's out there playing that they're going to do their job and do it to the best of their abilities. So that's what it's all about. And I feel like everyone in that receiver room has that mindset and is willing to take on that role.
Christian's battled through a lot this year, but it looked like especially early on in the Memphis game, you were going to him a little bit more. Is it sort of working him back into the offense in terms of, how you're, looking and targeting him?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely want to get him more involved. He's a very talented pass catcher and route runner. So want to continue to find ways to get him the ball and let him move and work in space. So that's a point of emphasis and something that I'm focused on is getting him more touches.
Thanks, Joseph. Keep it open if there's one or two more for Clayton before we let him go. We'll send it over to Andy Yanez.
Hey, Clayton, it's just something I'm curious about. When you're on the field, do you have the ability to like change a play if you see something from the defense, or is that all the coaches that like they call the plays and you don't have that flexibility?
It depends. Certain plays I do, and then certain plays I don't. So it's different week to week, the amount of plays that I have the ability to do so and the amount that I don't. So when we're playing, a team that plays a lot of man coverage in the back end, then I have free reign to check, whatever routes that I want that I feel like would work best, versus that man coverage or leverage or whatever it is. And then there's other times, where we have set plays that we want to, we don't necessarily know what the defense is going to do. So we have plays that, we're going to run regardless. So it just kind of varies week to week.
Thanks, Andy. Keep it open if there's one more. Clayton, thanks so much for your time here today and best of luck on Saturday.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody, we can go ahead and pick back up. We are joined by Elias Bell. Elias, thanks so much for your time as always. We'll go ahead and open it up with questions, and we'll lead things off with James Mueller. James?
Yeah, hey Elias, how's it going?
What's going on?
So obviously one of the big messages y'all have been sending is finishing games. So I was just wondering how much of a confidence boost was it, there wasn't much time on the clock, but being able to, get there, and then obviously you with the sack to seal the game against Memphis a couple weeks ago.
It gives us a lot of confidence. I feel like every week we've kind of been in that kind of situation, and we just haven't finished it as well. past couple of weeks. So it just felt good to just finally finish it and just get the W at the end of the game, and even coming back, which made it so much more special that we came back and kept fighting to the end. And yeah, it felt good.
Continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Elias, first it was the Rice game, and then it was the Memphis game. You liking those last second, last play type moments?
Yeah, see, I had a lot of those last year too on the edge, and it's just there's something. It's just different demeanor for me. Just when the game is on the line and you just have to make a play, it just puts a different demeanor on me, and that's just my type of thing. That's just me.
I couldn't see from where I was on the field, but did your teammates run onto? Did they tackle you? It looked like somebody was at the bottom of a pile.
Yeah, they did. That was me at the bottom of the pile. Yeah, they did.
So that situation, you don't mind being the one that gets tackled.
Yeah, I didn't mind.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, I know when we last talked to you, talked about just some of the challenges switching over from, interior rusher to more of an edge rusher. Now that you're a few weeks in, sort of gotten used to it a little more, how do you feel about that? Are you liking playing out there on the edge?
Yeah, I'm liking a lot more than I did at first, and it's something I'm getting used to and adjusted to. I still play inside on some third down packages. I don't know if you guys saw. I still play inside sometimes, but it's something I'm still getting adjusted to. But I feel way more comfortable out there than I did at first, and now I feel like I'm able to change the game a little bit out there and help the team.
Continue along with Andy Yanez.
Atlias, can you talk about what your approach was during the bye week for you personally? How did you approach that week, and really was there anything that you did just to help you recover from the first 6 games of the season?
Yeah, I just relaxed a little bit. I was watching a lot of football, just trying to get back in that mode, because I feel like these last 6 is going to be like a real hard stretch for us. So I'm really getting mentally prepared for that more so than anything. And I was actually looking forward to come back playing football. For me, I feel like I have a lot more to give. So for me, I was ready. I didn't really need a bye week. I was ready to keep playing. So
We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Elias, being a senior, what's that conversation like when they at a need you to move to a different position? You mentioned maybe not liking the move at first, I guess because it's a change, but what's that like being, you're not a freshman, you're not a sophomore, you're being at the end there. What's that like?
Right. Like I said, it's something that I never really think about that much, because I'm gonna do whatever my coach tells me to do, whatever he tells me to do, whether that's any position. I'm gonna do what my coach asks me to do, and I feel like that's better for the team in general. So it's something that you have to adjust to personally to try to get better at it to help the team. But I was able to, when I think about it, I was able to play a little bit out there last year. You know what I'm saying? So I it's not like it was foreign to me. I'm just not used to being full time with it. So I mean, I'm gonna just do whatever my coach asks me to do and just do it to the best of my ability.
We'll continue along with James Mueller.
Yeah, obviously Navy's unique in their triple option, something you don't see a lot. Can you just talk about some of the challenges there and just that preparation going into this weekend?
Well, it's a challenge to always practice for that, because it's hard to simulate the speed of how all that. I've played against them quite a bit since I've been here, and it's always hard to simulate that speed that they move at, like in practice. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something you have to get used to running, I feel like, for you to move fast when practicing it. So it's always hard to practice for the speed, but I mean, I feel like we're ready. We got the right guys in the right positions. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still at the edge. We still, we have bigger guys up front now, so it should be hard for them to just move the ball in there.
Send it back to Joseph Duarte.
Elias, you guys, I think they were 1 of 5 in the red zone, where when they got close, you guys were forcing field goals. Memphis, how much of a boost is that for this defense to limit them like that? Do you think that that was a sign that maybe things are turning around for what you guys were able to do when it got tight there in the Memphis game?
Yeah. Well, for me, I felt like that was one of the things I took from it. And I was telling the guys after the game, I said, how we played at the end there, that's how we should play all the time. I feel like that's that's more of who we are than the first couple quarters to me. So for me, it was a confidence boost, but I just think we all needed that to see this is what we really are. This is how we play football. So I feel like we'll keep that going as time goes.
Send it back to Andy Yanez.
Yeah, Elias, just kind of building off that question. Can you talk a little bit about how it was for you guys, after the first quarter against Memphis? The defense was really able to buckle down, and there was a couple of times where they were able to move the ball, but you guys held them to a field goal. I think there was even one time where they had a big play and you guys forced a turnover. Just being able to, the cliche, bend but not break, but being able to build off that going forward.
That's our D-line coach Early. He does a good job of that. Like every time anything doesn't go our way, he comes to D-line. He says, "Yo, like, that's just one series. We need to lock back in and go out there and stop these guys. They will not score." So that's just something that we preach in the D-line room. Is just about holding people. We just have a thing like we do not want people to run the ball on us. We take pride in stopping the run first before anything, even before sacks. Even though we're sack out, we take pride in stopping the run before anything because you got to stop the run to get sacked. So that's just something that our coach preaches to us, and we just never held our heads down no matter what. The D-line, we just don't, because order for us to stay in the game, we have to keep playing well. So there's no time to hang your head and,
We'll continue along with Joseph Duarte.
Elias, we were asking Coach Belk just sort of about the interior guys as well, and you have a unique vantage that you played inside, outside. Is that sort of the dirty job inside where, you don't get a lot of the sacks, you don't get a lot of maybe people don't notice you as much, don't rack up the numbers, but, what those guys do in the interior can mean just as much as, any other position on the field.
Right. It's definitely a harder job. Even when I was bouncing back and forth during the game, I noticed how hard it was. But for me, sometimes I feel like I have an advantage in there because of my quickness. So sometimes it appears almost easier for me just because I'm just so comfortable in that space and putting guards in space. That's just what I like to do. And that's what I've always practiced. And that's something my coaches have always practiced with me. So it's definitely a harder job, and sometimes it's a thankless job. But we all see Dot's work, and how he stops the run, how tough kid he is. Everyone knows that. So it's a thankless job, but at the end of the day, it needs to be done, and I feel like we have the right guys in there to get it done.
If I could throw this last one in, Elias, when we're talking with Coach Belk a little while ago, he mentioned how proud he was of you for what you're doing on the field, but also some things that you had went off the field. Is there anything that you can share that you went through, or is it, in terms of, it just sounds like you've gone through some stuff this year and battled.
Mm-hmm. It was just more of a confident boost for me moving outside. It's not something I really wanted to do at first, but I kind of buckled down. I had talks with my coaches and Coach Bell, one of them. It just wasn't something I was very comfortable with because I feel that, I'm the player that, I'm a special player in the inside. And I feel like that's where I could bring a lot of heat at. And, he told me, he's like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Don't ever limit yourself to one thing. So that kind of changed my mindset. And, I've been playing better at it ever since he told me that. And I just had to take pride in playing out there. It's not something I want to do, and it challenged me. And I was kind of being complacent at times. But, once he kind of got in my head and told me that, he's like, you've been through way harder things in the position moving life. So this should be nothing for you. And, I've been buckling down ever since that and just trying to get better at it every day.
Did you, you grew up in New Orleans, right?
Yes, sir.
I was wondering because I saw you played high school in Iowa. Was your family, was it a hurricane relocation, or is that basically?
We moved here first. We came to Houston first for a little bit with everything that happened. But yeah, I'm born and raised from New Orleans, and then I moved up to Iowa once I got of age. But I was in Houston first. But we were none of us were in school because of everything that happened and stuff like that. But yeah, I lived part of my life up there, so that's part of why I don't have a crazy accent and like that. So got an Iowa accent, and that's how I relate to Coach Horgerson and Coach Brett because they're from Iowa. So those are my guys. So
gotcha. Thanks.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll keep it open if there's one more before we let Elias go. All right, Elias, thanks so much for your time here today, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, we will wrap up here today with Donovan Mutin. Donnie, thanks as always for your time here today. And we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Just ask media to use the raise your hand tool, and we'll get things passed along your direction. And we can go ahead and lead off with James Mueller.
Yeah, hey Donovan, how's it going?
How you doing, man? I'm good. How's your day been?
Doing pretty well, pretty well. So I was wondering, we just asked Elias this as well, but just obviously finishing off games has been a big question for y'all, but just how big of a confidence boost was it to, get off the field and, secure the game against Memphis like that, and seal the deal?
Well, it was big for confidence. That's what you said. It was really big for that. We have confidence in who we are, and we've had confidence in the team that we thought we were going to be going into the year. Ups and downs came, but like making sure that we realize that we're still that team. That win helped us do that. Like, man, we're still that team, minus a few things that we did, self-inflicted wounds with previous games. Like, we're still that team. And so, especially in my room, my coach, Coach Mack, the message all week was we go down there, we beat a good Memphis team. We can go into our bye week. We can have a chance to reset for a couple of days, and now we can go back 6 games in, get a bye week, and go 6 more games. We go get this win and go into the bye week with the chance to flip our season. And once we did that, we came off the field, and that was kind of the group mindset in the locker room. Like, man, that was a big win.
Sorry about that, Donnie.
No, you good. I'm about to decline it on my little screen right now. I got you. Yeah, though. So, we do that. We have a chance to flip our season, and so that was huge. So confidence, yeah, like the realization that we still are who we thought we were, minus a few hiccups, minus a different perception from the media and the world and everybody outside the locker. Like, man, we're still those dudes. And that was a great win for our team, our confidence moving forward. And it gave us the chance to go into the bye week with the chance to come out of it and flip our season. So it was all of those things.
We'll go ahead and send it over to Andy Yanez. Andy?
Hey, Donovan, I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about what your approach was during the bye week. Was there anything you did in particular to kind of help recover after the first 6 games, or what did that bye week look like for you?
We still have practice, so go out there and bust your tail for however long you're out there, get better. Because, like, I'm going to be honest, sometimes, like, when it comes to bye weeks, and I made this mistake to a degree in previous years, but you kind of, bye week, you kind of equate that with, like, you don't equate it with a week off completely, but you equate it with, man, I got more time, I have more time to do what I want, per se, And now that I'm older, I know that's kind of not the right approach. So practice really hard, still do extra conditioning things when practice is over, just to make sure you don't get out of the swing of it. Just training room stuff, man. Go in there and get your body worked on. Go stretch them calves. Go roll your feet out, go get in them hot tub, cold tub, go just do extra stuff, shoulder maintenance, whatever that looks like, hamstring maintenance. Like, go stretch, go get rolled on, man. Stay in there all day and just work, And when you get home, yeah, kick your feet up a little bit, Make sure you're at the crib still drinking your water like you should, you eating like you should, you sleeping like you should, because it ain't no week off. We just don't have a game this week. So that kind of helped me shift my mindset from mistakes I made previously. But that's kind of what it was, attacking your lifts, because we don't have a game, so we're going to lift a little harder, okay? Get your mindset right for that, and then go in there and actually try to, at the end of the lift, know you got better at something. Go in there and try, man. Go work a little bit. Do that. Same mindset with practice, same mindset with academics. I got to finish some work that's due this week, last week. So I got a week ahead in a couple courses. So that's kind of what it is for me. Like, yeah, you can reset because you don't have a game. So your mental focus on game planning, who can help us, who can hurt us. This is what we're doing scheme-wise. You don't really have to load your plate with that because we don't have a game. So you can load your plate with other things and kind of get a little bit ahead. And so that's kind of what I did, man. Yeah. I played Assassin's Creed a little bit too. I just met Leonardo da Vinci. I'm in like 14, 18 in Italy. Like, you feel me? They don't like where we at. They don't like us. Everywhere I go, I'm hot. So I was doing that a little bit. So yeah.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
man, for sure that, for sure.
Send it over to James Mueller.
Yeah, Donnie, as a vet, you've obviously played Navy a good bit, but one thing Elias was telling us about when preparing for them is just it's hard to simulate that speed and when defending the triple option. What's like the key to preparing for that? And just because you don't see it a bunch and it's so unique.
Do your best. Uh, you can't like it's not even that you can't simulate it. Like there's nothing you can do in your power completely at all. Whatever you try to do to get that look, because the first play is still gonna feel like, oh, this is way faster and it's happening quicker and it's way crispier and it's sharper than you get in practice. Just because that's what they do and we don't do that, you know. So like, I guess the key to it is you have to watch it a lot too. You know, just sit at the house and watch it. Just click through plays. Like there's certain things they like to do to one side. There's certain things they like to do to the other side. There's certain things they're better at this year than years previous, or that this year they don't do as much as years previous. Just trying to get a consensus on that. You know, look at it holistically, look at it all the parts, and then when you get in practice, man, like don't pass anything up, and don't put the cart before the horse, so to speak. You know, like for me, I'm playing linebacker. If the play's away from me, I can't just run and think I'm about to go run to the pitch. Because in that big pile in the middle, what if the dive comes out? So I have to be really slow and check the pile and make sure that this guy doesn't have a ball. One thing we do, we don't practice with a ball for a lot. Like the quarterback will act like he's doing the pitch, and if you got the dive, you're holding him. If you have the quarterback, then you go grab him. If you got the pitch, you grab him. You don't know who has the ball. So that really helps you understand that you can't really take anything for granted. Like if these are the people you're supposed to stop this play, we'll do that. And then once we put a ball in there, I'm checking pitch. I'm checking dive. I see that he doesn't have the ball. Then my eyes move. I see the quarterback pitch it. Now I can just go run, put effort, and try to go take. So it's real. You kind of have to compartmentalize it, man. Like whatever your job is, focus on that. And you can't get tired doing your job because for 60, 70, 80, last week they played 100 and some plays against SMU, whatever that looks like. However many plays, you just cannot get tired of doing your job every single play for the entirety of the game. And for me in the box, it's going to be a lot of banging all game. Can't get tired of that, man. So that's the only thing you can do to try to get ready for it. Because when you get in the game, it's still gonna feel foreign. It's still gonna feel like bullets flying because they do this and we don't, you know. And so no matter how hard we try to copy, emulate it, it won't be the same. But you can do a lot on your part to try to tighten it up, and that's why it's good. Like I played against it. My freshman year, we went there. Austin Robinson had 1,000,000, 50, 100,000 tackles and all that. He went crazy, right? That happened. My sophomore year, we came back. We played here, and they ran a counter trap for 50 yards every time and touchdowns back to back. 2020, we went up there and we got a good win there. You know, let's start. I played against it for some years, so I can do my best to let people understand that, oh, it's going to look like this a little more. Usually it feels like this. This is how this looks. This is what helped me. This is what I did wrong in the game. Just try to pass that along because, like you said, we can't really copy it. So whatever knowledge we have from being in those games, we can spread them around so we can kind of get as close to we can as understanding what it would be like. Yeah.
We'll keep it open for a couple more and go ahead and send it over to Andy Yanez.
Hey, Donovan, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen from some of the other linebackers, especially, guys like Jamal, Jamarcus, that have kind of had to, kind of get thrown into the fire with the way some of the injuries have gone for you guys and really how they've, gotten that experience while doing it, like on the field, kind of learned by doing it, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah. Well, both of those guys, man, I don't have anything. I can't say nothing bad about either of them. Like, I'm really blessed, man. My whole time at UH, I've had a good like a great group of guys in my linebacker room in my position. Like, and those two guys are nothing short of that word either, Excuse me. Jamal, amazing dude, man. Amazing dude, same guy every day. And yeah, he's learning on the fly, getting in there, just throwing in the fire, but like that man been in the fire his whole life. Like, you feel me? He been handling business in high school at a high level. He was handling his business at OU at a high level, Jamarcus Cheeks been playing ball his whole life. Was a great kid, great athlete kid. He's probably older than me. I don't know why I call him kid, excuse my mom. But, yeah, like he did his thing in high school, enough to play at the college level, which is hard. And he went to Sanford and did his thing. So now that he's here, like, yeah, you get adjusted. It's a little different. You know, the field's different. You're in a different place. You got to just, you know, get your feet set, orient yourself, whatever. But then at the end of the day, they snap the ball, it's ball, you know. And so those guys know so much that they're teaching me. And there's little things that I know about the defense being in there 4 years with Belk, you know, with early. I've been here, so I know a little more. So I could tell them and put them on things, and we can kind of do this and then still go the same direction. So, man, they're great players, man. I learned so much from them, man. They help me a bunch. They teach me things. I try to do my best with them. So, great people, man. I love playing with them. They're a great addition to our room. Not addition anymore because they've been here, but as they're new, great addition, man. Like they live out the standard and they embody the standard of what our linebacker room tries to be every day. You know, we come out on the field, Jamal is letting us know, hey, bro, a good day isn't what it is, man. It has to be elite from us. It has to be elite. You know, like Chamarcus, we lined up in the play in our stands. They're about to snap the ball. He's talking to me. Come on now, Donnie. Let's go. Let's go. Good pad level, good feet. Let's go. Let's go. I'm like, let's go, Chief. Let's go, man. Let's go. We're talking mid-play before they snap the ball. Like, so that's the kind of people they are, man. They're great people for sure.
Keep it open if there's one more for Donnie before we let him go. Donovan, thanks so much for your time here today, and best of luck on Saturday.
I appreciate